I have spell candles over there.
Because you're being hexed.
I'm being hexed and I need to do a spell.
Chapter 1. 4 boys from Liverpool.
You want to be a video essay so bad?
Well,
Don't be gay.
Don't be gay.
Playing piano like a gay person would.
and then Paul goes, "Oh, hey George, what if you think about making those swords instead?" Ahoy! Welcome back to Girl Historians.
I'm Carley.
And I'm Blair.
And this is the comedy podcast where we talk about history and our girls.
And we just finished, we are just starting. We finished one thing, we immediately start another, such as the circle of life.
Yes.
So we are starting our Beatles series.
Beatles.
Oh, we're the Beatles.
Hello.
Hello, we're the Beatles. So pretty sick. So if you're just tuning in, God, someone's sending me annoying messages on my phone. Do you ever get so mad when someone texts you?
Constantly. But I'll also get mad the other way. I left my phone at home last night by accident.
Okay. Disconnected.
I know. I was like, I'm like Fran Lebowitz, just like walking the city. But I was like so frustrated on the subway home because like the subway wasn't coming. And I was like, I wanted to be on my phone so bad because it was so fucking boring. But then I was mad at myself for wanting to be on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I got home and nobody texted me.
Isn't that the worst?
A single person didn't text me.
Feeling? Isn't that the worst feeling?
Single person.
I'm always like, that's sad. That's quite sad. It's even when you don't even have like a notification from an app and you're like, oh.
Okay, so I'll kill myself.
Okay, so my life is sad and everyone hates me.
Good to know. I was wondering.
Yeah. I was always wondering if everyone secretly hated me and no one texted me.
Oh wait, let me turn this little light on.
Oh my God, you can't forget the mushroom light.
The mushroom light?
The mushroom light. The mushroom man.
It's been so long since we recorded.
I know. I literally feel like I've lived 1,000 lifetimes.
I think we recorded before my birthday.
No way.
I think so.
No, because in the last episode you were like, I was 24, now I'm 25.
Okay, so right after.
Right after your birthday.
So it's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
Wow.
But it's been a long 2 weeks.
Yes.
This has been absolutely like, I don't know.
Someone is hexing me. I have spell candles over there.
Because you're being hexed.
I'm being hexed and I need to do a spell.
Yeah.
Things have been bad, guys. Like, not like mentally, like physically bad.
Yeah. We'll get into it.
Well,
and share to the podcast.
I had my first normal, and normal is relative. Let's say that in 2 weeks. Yesterday.
Ooh, that's rough.
I went to Atlanta to shoot a music video that literally, and had a good time, but I literally think it killed me. Like, I think it was, I started getting these like horrible stomach cramps the entire time I was shooting, and you're just like on your feet and your stomach is like cramping.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, I'm dying.
Was it like period cramps or worse?
No, it was like stomach cramps. I've never felt anything like it. And I get a stomach ache maybe once a week.
Yeah. That's awful.
And then I lost my appetite. And I was like,
oh,
cancer.
No.
Cancer.
Oh, God.
And then I went to the doctor. And I thought I had like a blockage. Like, I thought like I had like because my dog ate a ribbon once on May he rest to put on Christmas morning. And I was like, it's giving I've eaten a ribbon vibes.
Yes.
And I had to get an x-ray of just my shit. And the fucking x-ray technician was like, oh, yeah.
Wait, they x-rayed you or your shit? Or both?
Well, I couldn't shit.
Oh, okay.
I had to go get an x-ray. My doctor felt my intestines with her hands and was like, oh, yeah, I think you just constipated. And I was like, yeah, but this is crazy. Like, respectfully, I have a lot of stomach issues. So this is not like new for me. And this is insane. I lost my appetite. Like I thought I was eating broth for 3 days. So I also have gone crazy by this point.
That's so
I haven't
sad.
had solid food. So I've had shakes and like vegetable broth. So I've lost my mind at this point.
Oh no.
I go get an x-ray of my digestive system.
Yes.
And the like radiologist or like technician's like, oh yeah. And I was like, okay, great.
Like, what do you mean, oh yeah?
What do you mean,
oh yeah? Expand on that.
So I ended up having to take a different like Miralax for the girls at home. I had to just take it twice a day and drink the most water I've ever ingested in my life. And basically just have like fruits and like leafy greens and like soups and oatmeal and stuff. Like I've lost my damn mind.
Wow.
I've lost my mind.
Yeah. And that'll do that to you.
I also have a cold, and I also shattered my kneecap.
You shattered your kneecap?
Yeah, from like falling on the set. Like I was supposed to be like,
God.
oh my God, haha, my character's so drunk I fell. It's got a like I'm sure.
I can't wait to see this music video that just absolutely killed you.
It's literally gonna be like The Dark Knight Rises. It's my Heath Ledger. Like this is the amalgamation of all my work because I'm
my God.
on death's door.
Yeah,
and I'm getting over a cold.
Oh, not a cold.
I'm dying.
No,
like,
that's so sad.
I'm dying. I couldn't go to Detroit with y'all.
I know. I'm so sad. Carley missed Detroit. And if you're on the pod, you've been knowing that we've been talking about Detroit. And Carley had to miss it, and it was really tragic.
I was dying.
It was really, really sad.
Yeah. So I've just been like home doing that. I saw Idina Menzel last night.
That's crazy. How was she? Adele Dazeem?
Adele Dazeem.
In the flesh.
She did like a little comedy bit about that. It was the crazy concert. Like I can't even explain it. The first 40 minutes were horrible. Like they were awful.
Where was she playing?
Massey Hall.
Okay.
So she was like like singing her pop songs, so her voice sounds so bad. Like,
oh, I forgot she has pop songs. When she released that video, it was like, "Do you need a hot girl summer anthem?" And it was Idina Menzel being like, "Do you wanna dance with me?"
Yeah, it's literally that. Like,
it's
and I was like, "This is not like what
girl. That's not even a song. That's just kind of riffing."
You know, it's not even like a good song. Her voice, like, it doesn't suit her voice.
It's like me when I go to make breakfast. I'm like, "I'm making some toast in the toaster today."
Except you get in the studio and cut a track.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like,
don't sleep, don't eat, just put it on repeat. Yeah.
Me and Reese went like, because it was my birthday present from him.
Oh, that's sweet.
The tickets were kind of cheap. And the whole time we were just kind of like,
so he hates you?
Yeah, he hates me. Well, I'm just saying in terms of being like, we didn't drop $400 to see Idina Menzel because the first half of the concert was horrible. And she was like kind of doing like movement, but like not really dancing. And the stage picture was horrible.
No, she's a mover,
and
not
she
a
has
dancer.
no like state. Like she's so uncomfortable being herself that she'd just be like, "Hey, Toronto," and then like pause until somebody's like, "I love you," and she'd be like, "Thank you," and then pause again until people were like, "I love your dress," and she'd be like, "Thank you," and I'd be like, "Oh my God, girl!" And it's not like, again, I talked about seeing Neil Young on the podcast. It's not like he's like teeming with stage presence, but he wouldn't just like wait for people to compliment. It was really wild.
But he's also Neil Young.
Yeah, he just wants to jam with his buds. You know what I mean?
He's just trying to have a good time.
But then she got halfway through, started to just sing like her actual show tunes. Like she sang like "Let It Go" and all that stuff.
Iconic.
And I was like, oh, because I was like, Teresa, I was like, I guess like her voice is like she's just been like singing too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess her voice is shredded because she's in her 50s. Like, and her entire career.
Actually?
Yeah, she's 53.
Oh, she must be. Okay.
So like in her career, her entire career has been like defined by these like crazy notes. So I was like, maybe she's just like shredded her voice. Like fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't sing a lick. Like whatever. But then when she would like sing those songs, I was like, oh, actually she sounds the best she's ever.
She's
like
great.
Her voice is crazy. She has so much more presence in those. Like it is just a thing of like, you're meant to be a musical theater girly. Like you don't need to be a pop girly.
Yeah.
So like she sang like "Take Me or Leave Me." She sang "Defying Gravity" and it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Like
good?
It was so good. Like
I
was like, I hope she does the like last note. But she sings like the whole part that's at the very end, and she pauses right before that note. And I was like, oh, I don't know if maybe she can't like sing that note anymore. And she's like pauses like for like 15 seconds while everyone's like, whoa. And I was like, like she kind of like built up to that. Like, you know, you would assume that there's like a certain amount of momentum needed to sing the whole song and then like, I can hit this high note. And she was like, okay, we got to get out of here. And just like hit it. And I was like, oh my God, she just popped up there.
Oh my God.
Popped. She sounded great.
Okay, slay.
The most amazing moment was she does this part which is so crazy. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen, where she sings the first half of "Take Me or Leave Me." And it's like, who wants to sing Joanne's part?
No.
Yes.
No. Did someone do it?
Yes, she had 3 different people sing Joanne's part. She had somebody who was there as, I believe, some kind of like Make-A-Wish. So that was very sweet.
That's cool.
They weren't like amazing, but it was very beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan who couldn't really sing at all, but she was like loving it, whatever, but not good. And this other girl from like the back row, like where we're on like the balcony, she raises her hand and Adina's like, come on down. And she's going down. I'm obviously there with Reese, my partner, and this girl was wearing a mask and she takes it off when she gets down there. And Reese is like, oh my God, he has like a day job. He's like, I work with her.
No way.
And he's like, she's an actor. Like, I bet she'll actually be pretty good. Like she's an actor. And she's like this sweet, her name is Astrid. If you're listening, you ate. But like,
oh my God.
She's like this sweet, like, oh my God, me? Like, I'm so excited. And then Idina's like, well, what part do you want to sing? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I guess I'll sing your part. I'll sing Marine's part, I guess.
Oh my God.
Like, every single day. Like
no.
immediately pops in, like she's so sweet and just eats. Like doesn't even necessarily like know the words, but is doing so good. And it was so funny, just like in the way she was so good. But you know when people inadvertently have like hilarious comedic timing?
Yeah.
Where she's like, I don't know, I guess this every single day. Like it was so
I guess I'll do Marine. Every single day.
And it's just like
I walk down
this random girl Reese works with. She killed it. Like she was she was amazing. But it was so funny.
Oh, that's so
But it was
iconic.
a good time. It was really good. She's got like a great voice. She kept like Idina kept getting really teary when Toronto was nice to her, and I was like,
something happened. Something happened.
But it was fun. Yeah, that's been my last 2 weeks. Just literally been
beautiful
home the entire time.
Bad, and then Idina Menzel sounds beautiful.
I was talking to you before, bitching. Some might say just bitching. But I'm honestly really looking forward to fall, which is really fucked to say because I love summer. But as Blair MacMillan original thought, fall is the beginning of the year. September is the beginning of the year.
September is January 1st, actually confirmed.
And I think the reset of that is going to be beautiful.
Oh, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. It's going to be gorgeous. Yeah, I'm kind of like in August, I get really sick of summer in a way that I'm just like, September is still a summer month in my mind. So I'm like, give us summer, fall. Give us summer, fall.
I agree.
With, like, summer. And I feel like I'm at this point where I've done everything fun that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Also, at the same time that you were having blockages, my cat had
it was actually kind of beautiful.
It was
how
kind of hilarious.
Had beautiful equal bowel issues.
It was kind of crazy how like almost the exact same thing in a way.
Yeah.
And so my cat had to go to the vet,
she had
and it was
a crazy thing.
I know she had guys,
but I agree.
Can't describe it on the podcast.
No,
if you are like, I so badly, if you send me a message, you say, Blair, I so badly want to know what happened with your cat's bowels. You can message me and I'll send you a voice note with details.
Yes.
I'm not going to.
It was horrific.
It was bad. It was,
and I wasn't even there. Just you describing it. I was like, oh.
Got to be one of the worst mornings of my life.
I think I've got to be maybe in the 1%, like the top 1 percentile of human beings comfortable talking about bowel movements and shit. And I was like,
yeah,
what the?
Yeah, it was a lot.
And she's just wearing her little cone.
And now she's got a cone. She's walking around in this little stupid cone. If you want to follow Jim Carrey Cat on Instagram, there's a lot of good cone content.
Yeah.
My roommate Sarah runs that account.
Beatles fanatic.
Beatles fanatic.
She is very good at running it. It's a fun
she's
follow.
good at memeing things. She's good at memeing.
I agree. I usually, will follow a friend's pet Instagram for a laugh. Yeah. I think this is actually very fun. It's a good follow. Like I genuinely enjoy the account.
Oh, I'm so glad you do.
Yeah. And your cat is one of the cutest cats in the world.
Oh no, she is and she's a classic beauty.
Mm-hmm. She's kind of like Betty Boop.
She is. She's kind of like Betty Boop, but like less slut.
Yes.
Less
more
slut.
dumb.
More dumb.
She's got
more
Clara
stupid.
Bow energy.
Yeah, she's got Clara Bow. She's kind of the Clara Bow of cats.
Okay.
But yeah, once that happened, I was like, the summer's so over now that my cat's
you're gonna have a hot girl summer after your cat's ass explodes?
Exactly.
No.
I'm like, well, the cat's in a cone. What am I gonna do now? And I went to Detroit, and that was really fun. And that was kind of like the last big fun thing I was doing this summer. And I'm just like, whatever. Like, get me out. Give me fall.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me a fall time activity. Give me something happening. Please.
Yeah. I went through and went through my clothes and got my fall clothes out, which is it's fully like the second week of August. Like,
time for fall clothes,
too
time
early
for sweaters.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm gonna take everything out, put all my other stuff away, because I've gone insane. I told you I applied for a job. Like I've lost my mind. I'm gone. But
yeah,
yes, I feel bad for Jim.
Thank you. And you've lost your mind, so I feel bad for you.
I've gone insane. It's kind of crazy.
You're giving off a really beautiful vibe, I think.
It's kind of crazy what not having real food does to a person. And I want to say, because people love to police me online, I'm not having broth for the hell of it, okay? This is doctor ordered broth. I should be fine now. I've been able to have more solids a bit. Like I had a quinoa taco
fun
thing last night, but I want a fucking burger more than I want to have fries so fucking bad.
Do you know when you'll get to have fries?
I might do it tonight.
Oh, that'll
I have
be
to film it.
so exciting.
Oh my god, I have to film a YouTube video and I don't want to
Carly,
do it.
it's okay.
I've lost my life is so bad now.
Carly.
It's not actually bad.
My life is so bad now. You're making me sad. My life is so
This is what chronic illness does to a person. I'm done.
Oh,
No, I'm fine. It's just when you're inside and all of your friends are out of town.
Oh yeah, no, it's awful.
It feels crazy.
Yeah.
Even though you're invited.
No, yeah.
But like it feels insane. And I'm trying to like work on my brain in that way of feeling.
But that will always feel insane. I don't even know if that's like something that doesn't ever like stop feeling insane.
Yeah, but at least like identifying it in the moment as being like, okay, well, I'm feeling this way because
Yes.
a lot of compounding factors are happening. And I am just like I am isolated from people right now because of illness, and that's fine. As opposed to being like, I'm insane. Like
I'm insane. I'm missing out on everything. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and like we have some really like wonderful friends, and I think because I like everyone so much, like there's moments even when people hang out just because they're friends, and surely it's like plans that just come up organically. But I'm like, oh, everybody knows I'm shit and they hate me, which isn't true. But you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I don't need to think this.
No, but I'm
a constructive thought at 25 years old to have.
No, but I have those all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever like sometimes people hang out and I'm just like, for sure there's no reason I couldn't have even made it to this hangout. We're invited. Also, like it's like not everyone, like it'll be like, oh, 2 people went to the store.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, where the fuck was my invite? It's
interesting.
Like,
Feels like a message could have been sent to the
yeah,
group.
It seems like you could have sent me like just like a little heads up. It's weird that you guys are talking about something you talked about before when you're hanging out without me.
Yeah.
And it is mental illness.
Yes.
It is mental illness.
And it's
but
like
also
inner
it's kinda
child,
just, like,
I believe, as well.
For sure. Well, because, okay, here's a question.
Yes.
Were you ever the like third? Were you ever in a group of like 3 girls
Always.
and then they were 2 best friends and you were kind of like also a friend of both of them?
Yes. And I'm sure that there is, and I'll be unaware of it, a moment where I was that to someone else. Like,
for sure.
I just don't remember it because you never do when you're in those moments. But like I went to a middle school that everybody in the middle school went to an elementary school that wasn't mine.
Mm.
And then I went to like 3 different high schools. So like
Whoa.
I was always very used to being like, I'm coming in on people whose relationships have years of history.
Yeah.
And again, like fucking
They're
first world
developed.
problems, it's fine. But I do think that's where this comes from, of this belief. And also like in middle school and high school, like when people are doing that, it is pointed.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
It is them being like, I don't want to hang out with Blair, so let's just go.
Yes.
You know, whereas like now it's not, but your brain is like, good, no, good. That feels awesome.
Mhm.
I was talking to a friend of the pod, Ben Sosa Wright. Like we both have like those moments where he has one where a bunch of his friends, because he was a gay man, like he had a lot of those moments where like the girls would be doing something that were his friends, where like a bunch of his friends got taken out of school to go to the Bata Shoe Museum.
Shut up.
And
I
he didn't
love
get to
it
come.
there.
And he's like, I still remember it. And I was like, yeah, there was one moment where during the day, a bunch of people who I was friends with went to the National Aquarium in Baltimore.
Oh no.
And not me, and like seeing it online. And I remember like it doesn't matter, but like when I was like 13, like I remember it.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I remember it.
Yeah. I think being left out is one of the most inconsolable feelings in the
Yes.
world, because like you inherently as a person are going to be left out of things. And I saw this video going around and it was like kind of giving like girl boss energy, but it was this woman that was like, if you aren't invited, don't ask. If that like your friends don't tell you something, don't ask what they're talking about. Like if you receive a late invite, politely decline. And it was kind of giving like girl boss energy, but it is kind of true in a way that like if you want to stop feeling left out, you have to make peace with the fact that like sometimes people just aren't inviting you. Period. And it's sometimes like no reason.
Yeah.
Because I even find like sometimes even with people that I really like being around, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I just don't necessarily really want to, you know, have this person there for this particular thing.
Yeah.
Because I want to spend time with this person who like,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like this is what we're doing right now. And it's not against other people, but like
Yes.
this is like a specific outing to like reconnect with this person, and not everyone needs to be involved in that. And also like, I don't know, it's so often not personal, but I do think it is also like animal brain. Like,
oh, for sure.
If you're left out of something in your tribe or whatever in the past, you're like, well, I'm literally about to starve to death.
Yeah, exactly. Like the
so
herd
it feels
has abandoned
unsafe.
me.
So like sometimes just even reminding yourself like, I'm safe and fine. And this is like a story I tell myself about myself. It's not real.
But I hope you feel better. That's super hard.
Yeah, I think it's just like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I need to work on understanding these things as like symptoms of my situation.
Yeah.
Of like, I'll look back on this in like 2 months and be like, well, yeah, I went through it for 2 weeks physically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's why those thoughts are going to be more heightened. Because like I said, like I'm physically isolated from people.
Yeah.
Because I could not use the toilet. Like, there were reasons.
Yeah.
It's not like, obviously that's going to exacerbate like these deeper feelings. Because it's not like constructive. And my tendency when I feel those ways is to isolate further, which is not the answer to that.
But sometimes it just seems like such a good answer.
Well, that's why I'm like, I can't take that girl boss advice video's advice, or I'll never see anyone again. My
you have to be
version
like,
of that,
hey, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, that's
what are
for
you guys
people
doing?
with anxious attachment. For people with avoidant attachment, it's like, you not going is not punishing people.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. Like, you can just go.
Yeah.
You can just accept it. But hopefully soon, September, I hope, will be good.
I think September is going to be huge for you.
I'm going to Winnipeg at the end of the month, and that'll be nice too.
Oh, that's exciting.
I'm doing that fan expo thing with Amazon. I think we can talk about that. Maybe not. I'm doing a big thing, like another big job at the end of the month, so I'll be dead. Like, surely I'll just be dead by September.
What is it? The fan expo?
Like, I'm doing streeters at Fan Expo and then also on Queen Street.
Oh.
Not this weekend, but the next weekend.
Okay, you did tell me this.
Yeah.
For Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon Prime
Slay.
Video. It's like being like, I don't know. It's crazy. Explaining like advertiser ideas in person makes you sound like you're Chat GBT. It's like Nicholas Galzatine or whatever, you know him from Red, White, and Royal Blue, and from the Anne Hathaway movie. They're like, he has blonde hair and he has brown hair. Which one do you like better? This is my job.
Huge.
Yeah, so I'm excited for September because I think it'll be done. And
that's gorgeous.
I'll get back to my life. I was talking about this before. I just think I gotta stop. Like, I gotta stop with this, with the ways in which I'm living my life.
Yeah.
Take care of myself.
I believe in you.
Build a home inside of myself. And
build a home inside of you.
Because that has been a benefit, at least of being home. I'm like, oh, I was exhausted. Like, my body was shutting down.
Yeah.
So it was nice to just be like, well, I've got to lie in bed. Tried to watch the Fantastic Beasts movies, dude.
Oh.
For a YouTube video. They're so fucking bad, dude. It's like, I thought they'd be like, ha 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 bad.
No, they're just bad.
Yeah,
like, I've never attempted.
They're unwatchable. At the end of the first movie, fucking spoiler alert, but you should be thankful because even the first movie's ass. Colin Firth like basically has like a magical mask revealed, and he's albino Johnny Depp. And albino Johnny Depp turns to autistic coded Eddie Redmayne and goes, "Could we die just once?" And then like fucking leaves. It is.
Wait, so who's who? Are they Dumbledore? I thought it was Dumbledore and Grindelwald.
Well, he is Grindelwald, but he was pretending to be like a fucking wizard cop in New York, played by Colin Farrell.
Okay.
Also a real killer's row of canceled people. They got Ezra Miller playing this
Ezra Miller.
Thinly alluded thing of like, whenever I think J.K. Rowling is gonna zig, she zags. I don't know where she stands on anything but trans people, where I'm like, so this is kind of like, the whole thing is like, oh, these things called obscurus are when wizards who try to suppress their magic powers, like they explode and they kill themselves and people around them or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so an allusion to like being in the closet.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Also, Ezra Miller, fully non-binary.
Yeah.
So that's fine to you.
Ezra Miller was so good for representation in the way that like they just like are such a horrible person. And everyone's like, well, it's good so that we respect their pronouns, which is good. It's true. Even if people are horrible,
it was a real lesson learner for society of just people being like, yes, they should be behind bars.
They should go to prison.
They kidnapped a child.
They kidnapped a child and they are abusive and they should go to prison. It's like it was a real lesson for us to learn.
Yeah,
in a way that was.
Did you know that
important.
their father runs Hachette Book Group?
I don't know what that is.
It's like fucking Penguin Random House.
That's so funny.
Their dad like runs it. Like is the CEO of one of the big 4 publishers.
That's insane.
They're good. They're a good actor. They are and again, allegedly criminal. Like you know what I mean. Like I do not stand
alleged criminal.
But watching this, I was like, giving the performance, giving
absolutely slaying.
Ezra Miller, Eddie Redmayne, and there's like this random guy who plays a character named Jacob are the only people in this entire film that like know what it is, and everyone else is bad. J.K. Rowling also I think like wrote this and. Take the pen away from her.
I know.
She cannot write. She is so...
No.
She's so
She had such a good opportunity to just like go live in some mansion in a remote place and never like talk to anyone again. And instead she...
on the horn.
Don't even get me freaking started.
Crazy,
Don't even get me freaking started.
But I've just been watching a lot of Jenny Nicholson videos.
That rocks.
She's awesome. And it's made me be like, okay, YouTuber era's coming back. Because I think her and Mike's Mike like generally are 2 channels that I'm like... Okay, doing something new for the plot. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's nice to feel that way and not because so many times when I talk about YouTubers, I'm like, and they are a soulless pit. They're
a pit
honestly,
of darkness.
we've talked about this. I think that part was on the Patreon, but so many of your favorite social media stars, when you talk to them,
they're crazy.
They are like
they've got another lot going on behind the eyes.
They're like, how much money do you make? You're like, what?
Hey.
So my pronouns are she, her. Nice to meet you.
So hi, nice to meet you. What's your star sign?
Literally
How much
anything
money
else.
do you make?
How much money do you make?
It's always kind of shocking, and I'm big on financial transparency, but when people ask you kind of what you made off of something, like even my parents will do it sometimes where they're like, well, how much did you make after that? I'm like, why do you care?
Yeah, there's a difference between financial transparency for like equitable payment.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being like, I've had this happen 3 times, all with social media people. They've asked how much I made last year, and I try not to tell them. I try to do like a little politician, like, oh, yeah. And they're like, no, but how much do you make?
Oh, you know, about the same as
and
this.
then I say, let's say, I say $20, which is, but you know what I mean? I say $20. They're like, oh my God, that's so funny. I made $21. And I'm like, okay, well,
shut up.
You
so you were waiting.
Are making $21.
So you were waiting. You were waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, people also lie. People lie about how much they make.
Well,
to be honest,
asked. Like, if somebody who was my friend asked, I'd be like, well, I can tell you. Like, that's fine because you're just curious and also like we're friends. But like, we're strangers.
I realized because I was like at one point I was like, I feel like people are lying to me about how much money they're making. Then I realized I always tell people how much I make after tax.
Yes.
And people tell me the amount before tax. And I'm like, oh, you guys are liars.
Yeah, no,
You're
that's
liars.
actually big. Because I think if you asked, I would have said before tax.
Before tax.
And I got literally by tax.
Can't say that, Carley.
Sorry. Cut that. Cut that. Cut that.
Oh my God.
I got fucked by taxes. I got fucked by them.
I'm keeping in the original one.
Consensually fucked.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, I better start seeing some of these fucking potholes filled.
Yeah, seriously.
This bus better start running consistently.
Disgusting.
Because hopefully
bad.
it's going to fucking something. Although that's the beauty of America. I mean, of Canada. I was just saying, because when I was in America at one point when I fell on my knee and fractured it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They were like, ha ha, look, you're going to send us a medical bill. And I was like, no, babes.
No. It's
free. Love it's free. Mama is free.
It's free. No, I was thinking about that in Detroit too, because I was like, damn, like we are doing such reckless shit.
No, honestly, when my stomach was hurting, Reese was like, you can go to the ER. And I was like,
no, I can't. No, I can't.
I know you guys were fucking bodying Four Locos.
No,
how did it make you feel? I've never had one.
Okay, so they don't make Four Locos fun anymore. They have a bunch of caffeine in them.
They've turned them down a bit.
Yeah,
they used to like
down.
Kill you.
But it was crazy the way that like we went to a convenience store and just bought these things in America. They have called buzz balls, which are like 15% liquor balls of alcohol. And we bought like 10 of them and we were just like chugging back these buzz balls. Then we went and we got like just like these Mountain Dew, like these alcoholic Mountain Dews.
They do fucking crazy stuff.
A bunch of those.
Our American audience, you guys got some stuff you guys, we can't even think
awesome.
about.
I also went, and they have menthol cigarettes still in Michigan. So obviously Ben Sosa-Wright and I absolutely bodying cigarettes.
900 menthol cigarettes.
Bodying menthols. Like, it was like, honestly, like on the last day we both woke up like, hey, how you doing? Like, just like coughing. And I was like, oh my God,
I'm dying.
We need to stop.
It is really crazy to buy alcohol in a convenience store.
And not just, they had a fridge in this convenience store, a fridge full of Fireball.
Yeah.
A Fireball fridge in a convenience store. And I was like, do you have any liquor? And they were just like, no, just Fireball. I was like, what?
It's weird.
It's honestly, I love it. God bless America. Can I just say, I love America.
I'm so happy for you.
I literally love it.
My brain is so broken. And like,
no, and I get it.
And let me just say, like, if you're an American listening, like, love and light, things are meant for different people. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who I know that like love America and they love where they live. I left Georgia, beautiful weather, sunny, gorgeous, landed in Toronto, gray, raining, and I was like,
oh thank God.
I'm home. I love it here. But I was just like, oh, I'm a Canadian girl, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I also had to smoke cigarettes on this.
Oh, I heard about this.
They were supposed to switch the cigarettes. So they got like a real pack of cigarettes and then fake cigarettes on Amazon, and we're supposed to put the fake cigarettes in the real pack of cigarettes.
They did not.
But they did not. So I just smoked 2 real cigarettes and then smoked a fake cigarette. And I honestly feel like the fake cigarette was worse.
Yeah.
It made me feel, I like felt.
Was it clove cigarette? Like, what was it?
It was the one that's tea.
Oh, okay.
It was really nasty. And I don't smoke cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, like, this is where my body shut down. Like, I'm
Yeah,
dying.
Lyttle do that to you. Like, honestly, anything like drinking and smoking and even like smoking weed and stuff like that, you have to work so hard at it until you start to like it.
Yes.
It's like the first couple of times, it's like, yeah, it's like black coffee. It's like the first couple of times you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
I remember the first time smoking, like my first couple of times smoking weed, I was like, this is like absolutely painful. I hate this so much. And then you're like, I gotta work at it. I gotta work at it.
You're so right. Like,
what the hell is up with that?
Yeah.
That's so toxic.
It is weird. Humans are weird.
But there were some things we did in Detroit that I was like, you know what, Carley would not have put up with this. First of all, the Airbnb was clown themed.
Yeah, that's insane.
It was a Juggalo fans of the Insane Clown Posse themed. And also, we did not go to bed before 6 a.m. both nights. Yeah, which...
That was my thought process in not going, is I was like, if I was able-bodied... And I guess that implying that I was disabled this weekend. Crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, but if you had the ability to body,
if I had the ability,
a buzzball,
it would have been like fun. But I was like, so like I wouldn't be able to drink.
Oh, and we would have shamed you. We would have. Yeah, it would not have been.
And also,
a
like,
safe
I wouldn't have been able to go to the bathroom because we'd all be the bathroom would be clown themed. It'd be Insane Clown Posse themed.
No, we were joking that we were like, if Carly was here, she would have walked in, been like, oh, so nice, and then gone to the bathroom, come out, and been like, so I booked a Holiday Inn.
Yes.
Anyone want to come?
I've got an extra bed in the Holiday Inn.
Extra bed. Everyone else has to stay here.
Bye. Yeah, that was so funny. Like when you were like, what's the checkout time? Because I booked the Airbnb. So I had to like just give people information.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's at like 11. And then I like went on my Instagram stories the next day and like you guys were uploading things at like 5 a.m. And I was like, they gotta get out. Like they gotta be out. That was so funny.
Gotta get up. We gotta get out.
That was so funny to be like, oh, Jesus Christ.
It was real because we had all this alcohol and we were like, no one can go to bed until we drink this alcohol. And then Brendan ordered about like 42 sliders from White Castle.
That's awesome.
Which honestly, worst thing I've ever eaten in my life.
American fast food is nuts. It's really nuts. Like they have some great stuff and that we have here, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I live and die with Burger King.
Burger King.
But there is some stuff that you're like, what is this?
Yeah, like what?
And there's stuff that's good. I want to go bowling and get chili cheese fries so damn bad.
Let's do it. I want to go bowling really bad.
Yeah.
I've been having a real hankering to bowl.
Do they have chili cheese fries at Peaches? That feels like the kind of thing they'd have.
Maybe, yeah. That sounds
they have
right.
chili cheese dogs.
That sounds right.
Because I'm vegan and I will die. And now I've had to.
Yeah.
Now I can't have meat anymore. I guess my immune system will shut down.
No.
I also signed up for a 5K. I've been left to my own devices. My parents are in Ireland.
It's been 4 days.
My parents are in Ireland. All of my friends basically were out of town, and we got like a notice being like, oh, like in September or October, like your street's gonna get shut down for this one day because it's a 5K.
Oh my God.
And I was like, well, then I'm doing the fucking 5K.
What's the what? Oh,
I can't say because now I'm gonna dox myself.
You can't
They're
say
gonna know
you're gonna dox. That's so fun. So you're training?
Well, I can't yet because I still have a head cold, and I also have exercise-induced asthma, so I have to go to my doctor again, be like, hey, and get an inhaler. Because that was a big thing when I got the flu last year. It, like, exacerbated my asthma so much I was like breathing like.
Oh no.
And Reese was like, where's your inhaler? And I was like, I don't have one. And he got mad.
Yeah, you should probably have an inhaler.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Shall we talk about the Beatles?
I think we should talk about the Beatles. Let's go on a little quick break.
Yes.
And then we're going to come back, talk about the Beatles.
Everybody think about their favorite Beatle while we take a
Everyone
break.
think about their favorite Beatle and also think about what Beatle you think Carley and I would be.
Oh, that's a great question.
Okay. Bye.
When I was in the pandemic, when I lived with my parents, I would smoke. I would roll my own joints, which were so bad. Like, I still can't do that. Like, I don't know what. Again, I was in a level of psychosis.
Just rolling your own joints?
Yeah, but I would listen to the Beatles out loud on, like, the front porch after my parents had gone to bed and smoked weed. And I was like, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. Because, I don't know, we've talked about Courtney Love's comments on my YouTube channel when I talked about the Beatles once, where I was like, oh my God, I did, like, a joke that was like, you know, there's like, I love my girlfriend, the Beatles. And then there's like, I did too much LSD Beatles. Like, there's like kind of a before and after. And she was like, the Beatles did not do LSD as advertised. It was mainly weed. And I'm like, okay, Courtney Love.
Okay, Courtney Love. That's so funny. Yeah, that leads into it. What's your relationship with the Beatles?
Love.
Love. Same.
I think we both have the same kind of experience of like a way in which to connect with your father is through classic rock. Mm-hmm. So for me, I grew up listening to the Beatles, but like didn't even like register. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's artists like Shania Twain that like I listened to growing up.
Yes.
Mamma Mia, the Mamma Mia cast album. I listened to that growing up in a big way. Like that is like
not even ABBA, just the Mamma Mia cast album.
Yes, exactly.
Wait, like Broadway or movie?
West End.
West End. Okay, deep cut.
I know. Jeez. Also ABBA, but like stuff like that is like the music of my childhood. We had like the Abbey Road CD and a couple stuff in the car, but like it was fun, but it didn't register with me. Mm-hmm. And then like in high school, it's that thing again of being like the music that you listen to in your teenage years. Defines. I got like a record player, and then my dad got me like a couple of Beatles records.
Oh, iconic.
And I just was like, this is crazy. Like it is, again, it's brat. It's like, it's just objectively good.
Paul is so brat.
Has Paul talked about brat? Let me look this up. You talk about your relationship with the Beatles.
Yeah, I think very similar. So when I was a baby, my parents introduced me to music in a really strategic way, which is kind of psychotic, but kind of funny. And so they started with the Beatles because they wanted me to understand, well, it was mostly my dad, but I'm going to give it to my mom too. But like, they wanted me to understand like what a good song was. And they all started with the choruses, like all these Beatles songs, right? And so, yeah, I started on those. And then after that, it was like early punk, like Ramones and The Clash and stuff like that. And then worked up from there. Like it was a very strategic introduction. So like in a lot of ways, the first pop music I ever knew as like a baby was the Beatles. And even now I have like a like encyclopedic knowledge of Beatles music that like I don't even realize I like.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like very so they've been a huge part of like just my life because like my home was so like music for like there was always music in the house. Like my dad is a huge music guy, like worked in the record industry for like 35-40 years. My mom worked also in the record industry, like so music was always around. And so like the Beatles were fundamental to my understanding of like pop and rock music. And then I just kind of always knew it. And then I feel like as I got older I just had more like of like an appreciation for it, but also an appreciation for like I'm probably a bigger Rolling Stones fan.
Mm-hmm. Well, your dad is like maybe the biggest Rolling Stones fan in the entire universe. It's
actually crazy.
It's actually insane.
I accidentally drunkenly threw a dart into his photo with Keith Richards when I was at his house yesterday. But he thought it was funny.
Okay.
But and so I talked to him about the Beatles and he had some really interesting insights too, but he hierarchically will put Beatles on a lower shelf than the Rolling Stones.
Wow.
Which I think is a really funny thing for him to do.
Yeah, that is funny.
He's like, the Beatles have to take a lower shelf than the Rolling Stones. But So yeah, it's just like you realize, and then I was a huge fan of the movie Across the Universe.
Okay, this is interesting.
Have you seen this?
No, Reese loves
girl.
it. My ex-girlfriend in high school was fucking obsessed with it. I've never seen it.
It's quite fun. I showed it to Sarah, my roommate, and the whole time she was like, "This is crazy. This is so cringe." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up. Shut up. It's so good." It's really fun.
That is
Evan
so...
Rachel Wood is in it. Jim Sturgis.
She's
Bono's
beautiful.
in it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I saw you log this on
did
Letterboxd
log it.
recently.
Yeah,
okay,
my review was Bono was in this.
Yes, okay. That kind of really refreshed my memory. Yeah, I feel like if you don't grow up in a massive city, you quickly like define yourself if you are kind of more like alternative. And I'm not alternative in comparison to actual alternative people, but I am compared to normal people who live in a suburb, if that makes sense.
You're alt. No, you're very alt.
And you're
like
very
e-girl.
Define, and thank you on my chains. Hopefully they don't get in the way of the audio.
Fuck me like you love me, like you want. Do you remember that song?
I don't. I remember this where they did their little eye. Like, do you remember the e-boy thing where they put their fingers by their temple and roll their eyes? I had to describe it for the audio listeners. I don't want you guys to miss out on this.
There's a song called E-Girls Are Ruining My Life, and I honestly
That's tough.
went through, but it's this guy with a really low voice, and he was like a YouTuber or something, and the song goes,
What's it?
fuck me like you want me, but you love me low-key, want to date me when you fuck me, judge me.
This is awful. I hate this. I
It's
don't
kind
like
of a banger.
this.
I'll play it for you.
I do not like this.
Wait.
But the point of that is being like, you so quickly like define yourself based on what you believe to be cool.
Absolutely.
And the Beatles were always that. I agree. I am with your father a bit in that. I mean, love the Beatles. Like love the Beatles. But I really do bop to the Rolling Stones.
The Rolling Stones, well, it's so interesting too, looking into the Beatles and realizing how like the Rolling Stones the Beatles paved the way for the Rolling Stones in a big way.
Yes.
And
totally.
the big difference too is that the Rolling Stones were these like kind of like upper middle class kids who really wanted to look kind of like grimy and punky.
Yeah.
And the Beatles were these kind of grimy, punky kids who had to dress up.
Yeah, we talked about
It's a
this.
real
The Rolling
switcheroo.
Stones, you can only look smelly like that if you're upper middle class.
If you're upper middle class. Wait, this is the song.
Okay.
This is.
I hate this already.
Oh my God. Do you not remember? This is on TikTok.
No. Okay, that's enough. We're not getting copyright claimed for that.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not worth it.
Like they'd have a copyright claim on us.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, so this is why I'm really excited to get into the Beatles.
Yeah, this is fun.
So today we're doing like, honestly, it's mostly before they blew up. Pretty much entirely before they blew up.
That's
is the
interesting.
history we're going over.
I think that for me is a massive blind spot.
Me too, which is why I feel like I spent so much time on it, because I do think my defense in making this a whole episode, as opposed to like originally I wanted to go like through like their first couple of albums, my defense is that like I think that to understand the Beatles, we kind of have to understand this backstory and where it came from.
Well, yeah, especially because they formed together as children. And it's interesting how those dynamics carried through
absolutely
to the entirety of the rest of it, where it's like, it's weird to think about your entire career and legacy being defined by whatever random relationships you had when you were like 14.
Absolutely.
Because of course, like there's always going to be like alpha friends and beta friends. Like I was always like such a beta friend in high school, but I'm not now.
No, you're the alpha.
But like, if that was my Beatles journey, like you know what,
Yeah,
like,
you'd be Paul forever.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be like Ringo or
You'd be
George.
Ringo or
Like
George.
I would not be. I would be so Paul right now.
Yeah.
I'd be like in Get Back where he's just pulling his fucking hair out, mad.
I record the record.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, do you want to get into it?
Yes.
Okay.
Gorgeous.
Okay.
Here we go.
So
on the Beatles.
I've tried to format it in a way that makes sense, because now that we've been doing the podcast for not almost a year. We've been doing the podcast for 9 months.
When did the first episode come out?
October.
Okay, we'll have
And
to
now
do a
it's August.
celebratory
I know.
Titanic
Oh
episode.
my God, we are. Wow. We've almost been doing this for a year.
We'll have to do a
That's crazy.
Titanic review
Oh,
episode.
absolutely.
We'll have to do something on the actual person
the Titanic.
who survived the Titanic.
Oh yeah, we'll finally do the Violet Jessup episode.
The girlies have been salivating for.
For the 1 year of Girl Historians.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
How much has changed in a year? Literally so much. I can't even think about it. Okay. So, the beginning of the Beatles. Chapter 1. 4 boys from Liverpool.
You want to be a video essay so bad.
so bad. I think it's honestly, I like to chapter things. Okay. So it's October 9th, 1940 in Liverpool. Liverpool is getting bombed. Just absolutely dropping bombs on Liverpool. It is the middle of the war.
Yeah. Two.
Yeah.
World War II, by the way.
Yeah, it's World War II, by the way, not World War. Don't get it twisted. Julia Stanley is delivering her first baby.
That
all right
sucks.
During the middle of the war. Okay, she is she and her husband Alfred. Alfred is out at sea, I believe, at this point, while this Julia Stanley is giving birth during a bombing.
That's
of
tough.
Liverpool.
That's tough. That's tough.
And so she is like, okay, well, like, let's name this baby after, one of the grandparents, John. And then in a fit of patriotism was like, his middle name will be Winston, after Winston Churchill.
Never did anything wrong. Winston Churchill, cool guy.
Yeah, cool
top
guy.
to bottom.
So John Winston Lennon is born.
Can I say a Winston Churchill thing that I found out the other day?
Sure.
So when there was a massive famine going on in India.
Oh, and I'm sure he was really cool about it.
Yeah, he said like something in Parliament. They were like, oh, we need to send aid to India. And he was like, well, maybe now that they're starving, they'll stop breeding like rabbits. And even everyone, this was in like the 40s or whatever, even everybody in the Parliament in the 40s was like, Jesus
Oh
Christ.
my God.
Like he was so racist for the time when everyone was fucking racist.
It's crazy. It's crazy to live in a racist time and be known as the racist one. It's like, seriously?
It's a bunch of guys in powdered wigs who are also, I'm saying that because that's what, I know that they didn't wear powdered wigs in the 40s, but in government, they do wear powdered wigs from time to time. And they're all racist. And they're like, Winston, you can't say that.
You can't say that.
It's like going
Winston.
to a Trump rally and saying something and everyone's like, yikes. And
like,
you're like,
ooh.
oh, okay, I guess I said a really racist thing then.
I guess I said something really bad. So John Lennon's born, John Winston Lennon. He's born to Julia Stanley and Alfred Lennon.
Okay.
Alfred is a seaman. He's I believe a steward for the White Star Line. And so his connection.
White Star
No way, I might be lying about that. He definitely was on boats. Someone else was on other boats. Anyway, these people, they all live in Liverpool. There's going to be a lot of people on boats because Liverpool, for context, is like a port city. It's very working class.
From Heave Away.
Blah, blah,
sometimes
blah.
we go to Liverpool. Sometimes we go to Spain.
Heave away.
There's a lot of
Johnny,
Nova
heave
Scotia's
away.
sea shanties that talk about going to Liverpool because I imagine they just gotta go back and forth.
100, absolutely. They're just going
back and forth and
going
back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, so pretty much like all the boats left from a lot of boats left from Liverpool. It's also directly across from Ireland and right near Wales. So there's big Irish and Welsh populations in Wales, and they say that, you know, the Irish are witty and the Welsh are good singers, and the Beatles were witty good singers.
Aww.
So yeah, I did not make that up. That was something I read in my ancient Beatles book.
Yep,
from 1968.
Blair has a tome that she's brought into my house. That's like, it looks like a book you'd read in a play.
Yes, no, I brought a prop book that I'm reading on the
Yes.
bus. Like it's 1968, The Beatles, and it's from 1968. So John Lennon's home life, we're going to focus on John Lennon for a little bit. We're not going to go in depth with all the other Beatles as much, but I think that it's important to understand what John Lennon's home life is because it's kind of weird. So his father is away at sea and he's sending money back to his mother, Julia. One day it stops because he's absent without leave. So Alfred Lennon, basically it's whether or
runs
not
away.
He basically runs away from the boat because if he had gotten back on the boat, he would have gotten demoted from a position or something like that. So he just sort of like dips. Then when he does go back on a boat, he goes to like North Africa and then he's in a prison in North Africa for like 9 months.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it's kind of nuts. And then by the time he goes back to Liverpool, Julia, John Lennon's mother, has saddled up with another man and is pregnant with his child. Because at one point, Alfred sends her a letter just being like, go ahead. So John Lennon's life is just like a little bit strange.
But I'm sure he'll be normal.
And for sure, he's going to come out normal.
Regular from that.
His mother's sister, Mimi, basically then gets custody of John. So,
okay.
Yeah. So is this all making sense? Also, I'm really
No, it's all making
random.
sense.
Okay.
I'm just listening. I'll let you know
So,
if I don't follow.
Yeah, please ask for clarification. So Mimi takes over, basically takes over as John Lennon's guardian. His mother is kind of like in and out with these other kids. And his father basically like, at one point before he goes to live with Mimi, his father takes John Lennon down to Blackpool and is like very much like, I'm never bringing John back. And he was going to immigrate with John to New Zealand. So John Lennon's father at one point takes him down to Blackpool and is like, I'm not returning this kid. He's planning to.
He gets Amber Alerted.
Yeah, he gets Amber Alerted. John Lennon gets freaking abducted by his father. He's planning to immigrate to New Zealand.
Oh my God.
With John Lennon. And then
I'm sure that this will make him regular.
Make him a really normal person.
To his first wife, specifically.
To his first wife.
And to his sons.
Yeah, to his sons, both of whom he cares for
equally, and they both feel, and they're both normal.
Feel really normal. And and then at one point, his mother comes down and basically takes John back. And there's a story, and it's debated how true it is, that like his father put John in the middle of them and went like, run to the parent that you want to stay with. And John like initially ran to his father, and then like when his mother looked like she was going to cry, he ran to his mother. And so he went back to Liverpool.
It really is as though good parenting is a new concept.
Yeah.
Like it just got invented in like the 90s.
Yeah. It's a little nuts. But even the 90s.
No, but I'm saying it's not good. But
a little
like,
testy.
A little testy. But I'm like, it should be common sense to be like, well, I won't make my child just decide.
Oh, yeah. No, it's insane. So after that, he starts living with his aunt named Mimi and her husband, George. And he's a big fan of George. They really get along. Out of all the Beatles, John Lennon is brought up the most upper class.
Okay.
Despite having all this crazy kind of shit happening.
It's the rich kid crazy shit.
It's the rich kid crazy. And also he was kind of living with this aunt who was just like, literally just had like money. She was just kind of like chilling. She was like, bow, bow, bow. She's very kind of like, she's giving kind of like supportive, and she was like good at raising John, but like also was very like kind of strict.
Cool.
Like no nonsense, like wanted him to kind of be like a functioning member of like upper middle class society.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So then Julia, his mother, John Lennon's mother, Julia, is kind of like in and out of his life. She's like visiting around. So as John Lennon becomes a teenager, him and his mother gets closer. So his mother is supportive of his musical stuff. She teaches him how to play the banjo and eventually gets him his first
this feels
guitar.
like a really common thread.
Yes.
Of like fathers are like, well, don't be gay.
Don't be gay.
Playing piano like a gay person would. And like mothers are like, if you want to be a rock star, I'm going to help you be a rock star.
I'm going to help you. So John gets really close with his mother. They're like vibing. He's a teenager. So this is 1956. So now we're going to go back in time again. So it's June 18th, 1942.
Okay.
James Paul McCartney was born in Liverpool to two parents who were both Irish, which makes so much sense.
James Paul McCartney.
James Paul McCartney's got to be Irish.
Yeah, he's Portuguese.
So McCartney's father was a trumpet player, and he played in a pretty good jazz band called Jim Mack's Jazz Band in the 1920s.
Okay.
They had a piano in the front room. They wanted McCartney to take piano lessons. He had like a pretty kind of like positive life. His father worked in the cotton industry, and which was like thriving at a time, and then it sort of started to go downhill. And then Paul McCartney's mother was a midwife, and she kind of starts becoming like the big breadwinner of the family kind of thing.
Okay.
So she's
feminist king.
Basically she's making the money, she's delivering babies, and they're relying on her income kind of thing. In 1954, he meets his schoolmate George Harrison, and they hit it off. He's a bit younger. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So John. Okay, so Paul is 1 year younger than John, and George is 1 year younger than Paul.
Okay.
Yes. But
they make it work.
Sorry. George is 2 years younger than Paul.
Yeah.
And so,
because I think that's what, like, when I was talking about like the dynamics of like George has talked in later interviews being like, because before John's death, he was like mad that George wasn't crediting him on writing some of the songs that was on his album or whatever. And George was like, well, I also like wrote one line in Tax Man. Like I wrote, like we all just like, you help out on other people's songs. We all helped out
each other.
And the interviewer was like, well, why did he feel that way? And he's like, because he like thinks I'm 14. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was very much like, because he kept being like, he thinks that you looked up to him a lot. And like, you didn't respect that or whatever. And he's like, well, that's what he thought because he was 16 and I was 13. You know what I mean? Like that age gap, it's just like, you know,
it's crazy when you're that young, and then you can never. That's like now when I meet someone who's like 5 years younger than me, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, like that's fine. meeting someone 5 years younger than me when I was a teenager, it's like how if you have a younger sibling.
Yes.
Like my little sister is perpetually 12 years old.
Yeah.
Like, she will never age in my mind.
Yeah. Reese was like horrified because like one time I was watching like a movie with Katie or whatever, my younger sister at her house. She lives with my parents, by my parents' house. And I was like, she was making something in the kitchen. And I was like, can you make me an egg? And she was like, yeah. And Reese was like, you don't have to make her an egg. And I was like, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm so toxic when I'm around my sister. I'm always like, can you get this for me? Can you bring me this? Can you look this up? Can you do this for me? Like, I just ask her to do things.
Yeah.
And she does not do the same thing to me.
No.
She like emotionally terrorizes me.
Yeah.
But like she doesn't order me around. I just order her to do what? Like random things.
No.
I'll be like, can you turn the lamp on even though I'm closer to the lamp?
No, that's me being like, hey, do you mind really quickly getting a skillet out?
Yeah.
And making an egg.
Do it making me an egg. Just one egg.
Just an egg, please, darling.
Just one egg.
Well, she makes this like Korean breakfast rice that's like rice and soy sauce and an egg cooked in soy sauce. It's just salt and it's so good. And I was like,
delicious.
Just pop an egg on there.
Just pop an egg on there.
It's really easy.
So back to the Beatles.
When do they meet Pete Best?
Oh, he's coming.
Good.
Don't worry. Everyone's favorite Beatle,
Pete Best,
is coming. So on the 31st of October, 1956. So basically, in the span of essentially a month in 1956, when Paul McCartney is 14 years old.
This is so insane.
No,
dude. I can't believe it.
It's nuts.
It's like when you actually think about like the way in which your life is ruled by fate, and like they could have just like never met.
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds that John Lennon and Paul McCartney were born at the same time?
Literally. But so basically it goes from like within the span of a month, his mother starts having like chest pains. She goes to the doctor. They tell her nothing's wrong. She goes to the doctor again. They tell her she has breast cancer. She undergoes a treatment for it and she dies.
Well, yeah, it's the 50s. Like,
yeah,
we haven't really figured it out now, have we?
It's too bad. So Paul McCartney loses his mother. His father is obviously like distraught. Everyone's kind of like confused on what to do. And from all accounts, his father was kind of like pretty good at stepping up, but like it was obviously still just like an absolute tragedy. And John Lennon is reported to have said like, I don't know what I would ever do if I like lost my mother. Like the fact that you're even functioning is crazy. Like I would completely lose my head. So chapter 2. Oh, sorry. To finish that off, February 25th, 1943, George Harrison is born.
Great.
He's born.
He would be born in fucking February.
He would be born in February. He's got a pretty normal, like, solid home life. His mom is really sweet and is very much like one of those women who are like, I just want my kids to be happy. Yeah. And then his dad is like, it'd be awesome if you went into a trade, but like, nothing in the way of like abuse or, you know, like
nothing
crushing.
Crazy. Yeah. I remember from that Martin Scorsese, George Harrison documentary, which fucking rocks. Talking about how the reason Paul met him was because he had these like crazy big like pompadour hair.
Yep.
He had like massive hair and he was like known for his hair, and Paul was like cool hair.
Well, this was a big thing about George Harrison is that like his mother was very like pro personal style, which was cool.
Which you love
and
to
so
see.
like, and because his father used to cut their hair to save money, but never sharpen the scissors. So like it would hurt for him to get his hair cut. So he'd just be like, no, I don't want to cut my hair. And then he'd wear it in like crazy styles. He'd wear like bright yellow like vests under his school clothes, and like he would like sew up his pants so that they were super tight and stuff. Like George Harrison had personal style.
Hell yeah.
It was very cool. And his mother was just like, well, he can dress however he wants.
George Harrison also said that women are the R words of like gender or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I stand by. Hey,
he's cool. For
points
that.
Were made.
I was just trying to put together what that means.
Well, yeah, I can't say
of genders.
So yeah, I remember reading like trying to figure out like what Paul McCartney did that was problematic, and like this was just back in the time, like when they were like 16, like people were just like anti-Semitic for the hell of it.
For nothing, for no reason. Just
it's such
like,
an old-timey offensive way to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I'm like really.
Okay. So
you know that I have a mezuzah on my door?
No, what's that?
It's like it's a thing in like Jewish culture. It's like a scroll with sections from I believe the Torah on it.
Oh, cool.
And you put it on your door to help like ward off spirits or whatever.
I've heard of this.
But I thought it was a weather thermometer or like something like that for the longest time. And then I looked at it and I was like,
Oh my God.
What the hell is
Wait,
that?
that's really cool.
I know.
Okay, I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah, I'll show you
when I
after.
leave your house. Okay, so February 25th, 1943, George Harrison is born. July 7th, 1940, Richard Starkey is born in the front room of his house. He comes back later.
He fucking would.
If you know who Richard Starkey is, give you a pretty good guess of who Richard
Starkey.
Richard Starkey. Richard Starkey. Also the only, we've mentioned 3 men and not the other one.
Yeah.
So put your answers down below.
Who you think Richard Starkey is.
I bet you're going to figure it out. Okay, so chapter 2, the Quarrymen. So in 1956 or 1957, there's kind of conflicting dates going on when this actually happened. It was the past. Who freaking cares? John Lennon forms the Quarrymen. He's 16 at the time, and he names it after his high school, Quarrybank High School. And the Quarrymen is kind of this like functionally just like loose lineup of people. Like it's not really like
as it is when you form a band.
Yeah, like it's less of a like a real lineup. It's kind of like whoever's free. They also play this thing called skiffle. That's their genre. Do you know skiffle music?
No.
So skiffle is kind of like a bluesy, rocky type of thing that was popular. Like it's giving kind of early Elvis, like a lot of early Beatles. You can definitely tell there's like skiffle influences.
Of course. Yeah.
It's like folksy, bluesy rock thing, but like for example, there's a washboard in the band.
So it's like it is
player.
like Elvis when Elvis is his most folksy.
Pretty much. Like you kind of have to look it up. I listened to some to try and describe it, but like it was hard to differentiate from like like it's kind of like rock, like early rocky blues.
Okay.
So they're a skiffle band. So they have a rotating lineup. And by their own accounts, they were like, we are not super good. Like we were not very good. We were just kind of like hanging on, doing our best. So July 1957, John Lennon meets Paul McCartney at a church garden party. They bond over writing songs. So basically Paul McCartney's whole life, he's been like, my hobby is writing songs. And then he finally meets John Lennon. John Lennon's like, oh my God, my hobby is also writing songs.
That's so crazy.
Bond over that. There's also an account of this party from Paul is that like he got there, John was drunk, and John doesn't really remember like much of what was going on.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So they bond over that and they become friends.
Hell yeah.
So Paul McCartney joins the Quarrymen as a rhythm guitarist.
Yes, Paul.
They kind of just spend a bunch of time playing like random house parties, random like church parties.
They just start playing like random.
Yeah, so they're playing like random parties. They're not really getting paid very much. They're kind of like going in and out. It's him, Paul McCartney, and like these random other guys, basically whoever's free.
Richard Nixon is
Studebaker.
Studebaker, television, exactly. North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn
Monroe. They're all hanging out. They're all hanging out together. They're playing in the Quarrymen.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the first kind of evolution of this band. And then eventually they start to play the Cavern Club, which is, if you've seen Across the Universe, the Hold Me Tight sequence in England, I'm pretty sure it was filmed at the Cavern Club. But if not, it was that exact vibe. It was almost like tunnels, like really gross, kind of like wet kind of thing. So they start playing the Cavern Club. So that's their first show at the Cavern Club. And they're going to return to the Cavern Club a bunch of times. It's one of their like famous kind of early venues.
Okay.
Paul McCartney invites his friend George Harrison to watch the band perform. George then auditioned to be in the band, but John thought that he was too young. But then George kind of persists, and he performed lead guitar in a performance and was enlisted as their lead guitarist.
Okay. Yeah, because he was really good at guitar. That was the other thing I think. They were like,
that's by all accounts, he just kind of was really kind of like undeniably good at guitar. And he had learned guitar kind of thing and just like was just like tuckering away at it the whole time. Like,
he wasn't writing songs. He was quite simply he was playing guitar every day.
Yes, like he was a musician. Like he really like got a guitar and like
doing
whatever.
While you were off writing "She Loves Me." Yeah, she loves me. Yeah.
George was learning how to play the song.
I was studying
the blade. No, this is the thing. And his mother got him a guitar and was very much like, here, like if you want to learn, like let's learn, like you're gonna be great, kind of thing. So he officially joins the band in February 1958.
Okay.
So, all right. So July 15th, 1958. Okay. So we're still in the 50s.
Cancer season.
Remember how I said that like cancer season?
Yeah.
Remember how I said that John Lennon told Paul McCartney that he couldn't believe that Paul McCartney lost his mother and that if he lost his mother, he would completely lose his head?
No.
Yeah, so Julia Lennon dies after being struck by a car driven by an off-duty police officer. And she dies basically right outside Mimi's house.
No.
Yeah. So she dies. And at this point, like Julia and John had gotten like super close. Like they were super tight after kind of having
not know that.
Yeah. So, well, this is the thing. This is why I said we have to go back because it explains a lot. So you think about this guy kind of has this like in and out kind of mother. They get really, really close while he's a teenager. 1958, she dies. She just total like fluke kind of accident.
Y'all mind if I become an abusive psychopath real quick?
Oh, this is the thing.
Y'all mind if I become an abusive psychopath real quick?
This is the thing. So John was obviously extremely traumatized.
And he was also like, when you read interviews by them and stuff, like, and this is not an excuse for his behavior.
No.
Full stop. He is a very sensitive person. Like, there are people that can go through the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. And there are just people, this is kind of a sad way to look at life, but I do think it's true to a certain extent of like, some people have just a greater capacity for happiness than others.
Yeah, damn.
But it's true. Like,
no, yeah, you got a point.
Like, Reese said some crazy shit happened to him.
Yeah,
and he's just like, well, what are you gonna do?
And
I'm like, that's insane.
That's not.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That way. And I do think Paul McCartney is a bit of that. I obviously don't know him, but like from even the way that he talks about death and that carpool karaoke he does with James Corden, because his life is very hard. Like, he's had a lot of people die.
Yes,
a lot of people die. But he's just like, they're watching.
Yeah.
Hey, they're here. It's good. And I'm like, what would that be like to believe that?
I know. It's
I'm like,
nuts.
It's crazy that I'll never see them again.
Yeah. To think that they're gone and they're dead forever.
All that's to say is that like John Lennon seems like the kind of person that obviously this is very sad across the board, but you're like, well, this is about to change the basic tenets of your personality for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And like John Lennon's known to be like, he's always been like a troublemaker. Like he kind of picks fights. Like he's like right now doing this kind of like rebellious thing. He like, you know, like it's clear he's got stuff going on. Like he's got a lot of like energy and stuff inside him and not a lot of places to put it. And then you add this kind of like traumatizing event based off of like a family that was already like tenuous. Like he had a good upbringing with Mimi, but it's still kind of crazy to be like, I haven't seen my father since he tried to abduct me. My mother went off and had a different family. And now as I'm like building this relationship, she's really fundamental to like his love of music, his like musical ability, and she dies. Tough. So
yeah, and that's going to just destroy how you relate to people, right? Like 100%. It's almost as if you're going to be looking for love.
Well, this is the thing, right?
And fame. And as we all know from history,
that works out.
Fame is equal to love. Some would even say better.
Fame is better
than
love.
Fixes you.
And it fixes your problems.
Everybody who's famous is really happy.
And everyone is really famously happy. They're famous for being how happy they are.
It's actually crazy. Like it fixes all your problems and it makes you happy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that this story for John Lennon specifically is going to end really well.
I think it's going to end really good for him.
Not in a crazy way at all.
It's like this book I'm reading that's like, it was written in 1968. So it's like, and all the Beatles are doing great now.
And you're like, oh.
It's like, oh, okay.
John just got this amazing new apartment. And you're like, oh, okay.
He's living in New York. He's loving it.
He's loving it.
So after that, him and Paul bond over both their mothers being dead, which is
trauma bond, baby.
They trauma bond.
Actually, so much context for this relationship.
No,
like, these
really
two people
is.
seem like they hate each other, but it's like, hey,
no, they're
to
like,
be a 16-year-old boy and you both lost your mother. Like,
it's crazy.
You're just gonna understand each other on such a deep level, but also trauma bond with each other.
Absolutely. So they really bond. They get really close. A lot of sources say that like Julia is functionally the muse for the Beatles. Like John losing his mother is like a huge kind of like guiding force in the entire musical catalog of the Beatles kind of thing.
Yeah, doesn't his son's name is Julian?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really nuts.
Yikes.
So quite sad.
That's
and that's
very
1958. Sad. So we're going to zoom forward. Moment of silence for Julia Stanley, but we need to get through. Julia Stanley, Julia Lennon. What's she using? So August 29th, 1959, the Quarrymen play the opening night of the Casbah Coffee Club in Liverpool, which is owned by Mona Best, okay? So Mona Best is going to come back. Okay. Remember that name.
Remember that name,
Mona Best. So she opens the Casbah Coffee Club. She has a son who will come back.
Pete Best.
Her son, Pete Best.
Everyone's favorite Beatle.
So Mona Best, mother of Pete Best, they opened the Casbah Coffee House, which is in a cellar in her basement. She was born and raised in New Delhi, India.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she is white.
Oh, okay. There we go. Don't get too excited about some representation.
She's white. They were living in India in a colonial way. So they open that place. That becomes another kind of like iconic Beatles early venue. By January 1959, Lennon's Corey Bank friends had left the group. So his high school friends were out. They're gone.
Sucks. That's really, you got to feel crazy about that.
And Lennon begins his studies at the Liverpool College of Art. He like initially kind of doesn't really pass high school at all. He's doing bad, but then the principal and his Aunt Mimi kind of take pity on him and work together to get him into the art college.
Okay.
So he's there. And so basically now the Beatles are 3 guitarists.
Iconic.
Yeah. So
every band just needs 3 guitars.
Yes.
Nothing else.
Exactly. So you've got
that
Paul
actually
McCartney.
Really set the tone.
It's really funny.
That set the tone for the egos of this group.
It really did.
Well, we're all going to play guitar.
Well, we're all going to play guitar and we're all going to sing also.
We're all going to sing and we're all going to play guitar.
That was a big decision. We'll get to it later. The big decision they made was like, well, we're all going to sing because we all can sing, even though Ringo could not. But Ringo hasn't even shown
to be under the sea.
I always think of that Family Guy bit that's just like, oh, Ringo's written a song. We'll put it on the fridge. Have you seen this?
Oh, that's funny though. I get it. Yeah.
It's so funny. I think about it all the time.
Yeah, there's one of the Beatles things I always think about. I always tell people about this and they don't give a fuck, but I think it's funny. Where there's this like little weird like web cartoon called The Adventurous Adventures of One Direction. And it was like it's about One Direction and Harry couldn't hit a high note. So we had to go find like Yoda, but Paul McCartney.
That's so funny.
In the woods. And he had to teach him how to like get the high note again, but like kind of like a Star Wars parody kind of thing. It's fucking funny.
This is amazing internet lore.
I remember it being funny, but I was also a teenager. So who knows?
Stupid.
Yeah. Don't know anything.
I miss that era of like internet culture when they were just like little kind of like jokey things all the time.
Yeah. And they have a really funny joke in it because it's, oh, I'm Paul McCartney, kind of like, that kind of thing. Yeah. He's like, it's like I always said, Harry, I get by with a little help from my friends. And then Harry goes, I thought that song was about drugs, though. And he goes, shh. And I was like, that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Get by with a little help from my friends. So they're playing, these 3 guitars are playing as Johnny and the Moondogs. LOL.
Honestly?
Crazy name. There's all this kind of like, in the book they're talking about, there was all this like name debacle because like everyone's band's name were super long. It was like Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Like it was like, So they're going through this. So John Lennon makes a friend at art school. His name is Stuart Sutcliffe. They're kind of...
He dies, right?
Oh, spoiler.
Sorry.
Yes, he dies. Stuart Sutcliffe dies. So he and John Lennon get really close at art school.
And he has like a hot German girlfriend.
Yes. She comes... Don't you worry. We'll get to the hot German girlfriend.
Okay.
So Stuart Sutcliffe just sold one of his paintings for like quite a bit of money.
Good for him.
And so John and the rest of the band go to him and they sort of say like, "Hey, you could use some money to buy a bass guitar or a drum set. Just an idea. Just an idea if you feel like buying.
If you feel like buying something with the new money, why maybe a bass guitar or the drum set?
Yeah, it's not that we're 3 guitarists and 3 singers and absolutely nothing else.
No rhythms.
We're like there's stories of them like going to like the club to play a show and then they have a drummer who's supposed to show up and he just doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And so they don't have a drummer. Like it's stuff like that. And so Stuart Sutcliffe, he gets a bass guitar and then he joins the band in January 1960 and he suggests changing the band's name to the Beatles, as in the animal, as a tribute to Buddy Holly and the Crickets.
It's not a bad idea.
And then they use that name until May and then they change it to the Silver Beatles. And then they refashion it to the Silver Beatles.
Not Beatles like the animal, but it's like beat.
Now, yeah. So like as a little jokey joke, because they're part of the Mercy Beat movement. It's the beat movement. And
that's interesting.
Also like beat of the drum.
Yeah.
So they're Beatles. And that's like the spelling that we're ended up with.
Yeah.
So
spoiler alert, they kind of stick with that one.
Yeah, exactly. And then by the middle of August that year, they're simply the Beatles. Slay.
You're simply the Beatles.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So now things start to get moving. So now we're at art school. They've got a lineup. They still don't really have a drummer, right? They have this like older guy who has a wife and kids drumming for them at one point.
And isn't that just being in a band?
Yeah, isn't that just being in a band? Your drummer's just like a 50-year-old man with 2 daughters.
That's one of the things that they got so right in Gilmore Girls when Lane's in a band is it's like 3 teenagers and then a guy in his 30s who's like, I've got work tomorrow. And I'm like, that's every person I know that's in a band. It's like, it's like 3 friends and somebody at least a decade older than them who's like, I just like playing the drums or whatever.
And I'm really good at the drums.
Yeah.
There are so many drummers that are like prodigy level.
It's crazy.
There's so few of them and everyone is like, oh my God.
This is also the thing. This is the Meg White of it all. This is the Ringo Starr of it all. Of being like, just so you guys don't know a lot about drums and go, like,
that's fine.
They're good at drums.
Yeah.
Not doing 900 different beats and hitting the cymbals 50,000 times in a song.
I know.
Like,
relax.
Drumming is very, like, it's a very specific and often understated thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like
just so you, like, people being like, it's simple. Being like, but they're in some of the biggest bands of all time.
Well, that's why people struggle to cover the White Stripes because they can't figure out what the fuck Meg White was doing.
You can't do it.
And the songs are boring without her just kind of going, pow, 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 bang, bonk, bonk, bonk. I love bonk drumming.
No, she's great. I love her.
So, chapter 3. Welcome to the 60s.
Let's all go to the Starbucks at Roncesvalles, formerly known as Mr. Pinky's Hefty Hideaway.
Yeah. Oh, I should also say during this point, they the Beatles also go on tour with a guy named Johnny Gentle to Scotland. There's just so much that they did, guys. This happened. If you're interested in it, look it up. I honestly didn't find it that interesting. They just kind of went to Scotland. They were all like, woo, we're on tour. And then they just go back to playing clubs again. That's what happened.
That's good to know because sometimes you really feel like you've hit your big break and then you go back to playing clubs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's good.
And they were playing as a backing band. As I believe they went by Johnny and the Moondogs. And they all gave themselves new weird names. Paul was like Paul Camaro or something.
That sucks.
Or Paul Camino or
Paul
Camano.
That
sucks. Very, very strange.
That sucks. I don't like that.
So August 1960, their unofficial manager, Alan Williams, books a residency for the band in Hamburg, Germany, and they don't have a drummer. So they audition and hired Pete Best in the same month. They kind of call
most
it Pete
iconic
Best,
Beatle. Most iconic
hey,
Beatle.
Would you come to Hamburg with us?
More on him. I have an anecdote about him in a second, but I feel like there's a big point of the plot. I don't want to spoil it with the anecdote, so I'll wait until we get there. Although I don't feel like anyone knows Pete Best, so it feels like
Pete Best, he's the best.
He's the best. Well.
So they go to Hamburg with Pete Best. So they go to Hamburg for a 3.5 month residency.
That's kind of crazy.
Right now, it's Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, Stuart Sutcliffe, and Pete Best.
Richard Nixon. Studebaker Television.
North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe.
You want to talk about how you've been getting earnestly into the Beatles. I've been getting earnestly into Billy Joel.
Oh, don't get me started. Were you not there for my Downeaster Alexa phase? I played it 100 times when I was in Newfoundland.
Really?
That song rocks.
That's so good. Yes. We don't have time to talk about.
Do you know Keeping the Faith by Billy Joel?
I know.
Amazing song.
That was one that I was raped. My dad and mom
loved
Billy Joel. Good. And I also saw that Billy Joel jukebox musical at the Fringe.
Oh God,
and we can't talk about it because we can't talk about it.
And we can't talk about it because we cannot get into it. We are on a time limit.
We cannot talk about it.
So the Beatles played in Hamburg in several different locations, mainly in the red light district. In the book, it says that Hamburg is kind of like the Liverpool of Germany. Like it's a port city. It's a little bit like working class, a little bit like devil may care.
It's not giving Berlin.
It's not giving Berlin. It's giving it's Hamburg. It's the red light district. There's like scantily clad women out advertising their services kind of thing. Ooh, very scandal. So Pete Best is in the Beatles. A couple of things to know about Pete Best. He's the drummer. Pete Best was super hot. He was the hot one. And he had like a fan base of girls that were super into him. And honestly, guys,
I'm going to look him up.
If you look up a picture of Pete Best when he was in the Beatles, it's almost a bit shocking because I feel like people talk a lot about how the Beatles are ugly, and I don't think they're ugly. I do think they're really cute. I get the appeal, but when you put Pete Best in there, it's looking rough for the other guys. It's looking not great. And then also while they're in Hamburg, at one point George Harrison gets deported for lying about his age or something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, you know what I'm saying?
Oh no.
It's like
that's And he's the only one that looks like an adult. Man, that's really crazy. I'll put it obviously in the video. I'll just put up. I gotta save this one specifically because this one is crazy.
Nuts, guys. Like it's actually it's kind of like, you know what, when you have like a really hot friend and you like invite them to, and then they like end up in a group photo and you're just like,
I'm gonna kill myself.
Like I've never been this upset before. Like it's beyond even like celebrity hot. It's like model hot. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I think he honestly is celebrity hot because like and hey, nothing against it. I would any of the Beatles. I would.
Yeah.
But it's British face.
Yes.
They've got British face and he just kind of looks like a movie star.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Like it is that thing, when you have a friend and you're just like, it just feels like you've kind of unlocked a different way to be that like isn't the tools aren't available to me in the way that they're available to you.
Absolutely.
Like I don't even understand how you're doing
it. 100%. So Stuart Sutcliffe decides to leave the band in early 1961 and Paul becomes the bassist. And they were signed to another contract in Hamburg until June 1962.
He was like, I've got to do visual arts, Mom.
Yeah. He wants to go back to art school. Yeah. And he also has met a German girl named Astrid. And they're kind of like, ooh, we want to be together.
In that George Harrison documentary, she's like, yes, all the boys, they thought that I was very pretty and very cool.
Very pretty, very cool.
They'd come into my room.
So German.
And they'd look at me and they'd say, you are so cool.
You are so cool.
And she's just like she's still beautiful, but you're like, what color is this adding to this documentary, Marty?
That's the most like German thing.
Just to kind of say something monotone and nothing.
Yeah, they all thought I was cool.
I had the film camera at the time and I took a photo of John.
Yeah.
Cool, Astrid.
So one thing that Astrid did is that she cut Stuart Sutcliffe's hair into that like iconic Beatles style, and then they all followed. So
okay, Astrid. Okay,
Astrid is there for the haircut. Stuart gives them the name. They
big
really
day
are
for the name
kind
Astrid.
of like big day for the name Astrid.
Reese's coworker who
sang
at Idina Menzel.
Who the hell are you talking about?
I'm like, big day for the name Astrid, and then I just have a story. I'm like,
okay. What was it? I'm shaking you awake. You're like foaming at the mouth. Like, who's the other Astrid? What do you mean? So, So during the next 2 years, the Beatles were residents in Hamburg for different periods. They are going crazy. They're going like all-nighters. So Stuart Sutcliffe leaves. McCartney takes over as bassist. Bert Kempfert is a producer.
Sorry.
He contracts. I know. Bert Kempfert sounds like a fart. Contracted what was now a 4-piece band until June 1962. He used them as backing bands, or as Tony Sheridan's backing band on a series of recordings for Polydor Records. And as part of those sessions, the Beatles were then signed to Polydor for 1 year, and they were credited on the single My Bonnie, which they recorded in June 1961 and released 4 months later. And it reached number 32 on the Musikmarkt chart.
Congratulations, boys.
Yeah, exactly. So that comes back because Brian Epstein really finds them through My Bonnie, but I haven't introduced Brian Epstein yet, so I shouldn't even be saying that. Idiot, Blair, stupid, shut up. So at their second residency in Hamburg, the band's getting like increasingly popular in Liverpool because the Mercy Beat movement is really taking off.
Okay.
So they were kind of like, they were getting really popular, but they were playing the same clubs all the time. They're getting kind of sick of it, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. So they continue to play the Cavern Club, the Casbah Coffee House, all these places with this kind of like emerging kind of scene. There's like a real scene happening now. It's the 60s. People are having fun. The teens are becoming like into their 20s. They're all like, ooh, the girls are there. They're crazy. It's kind of grimy. It's very like these clubs are for like working class people, like which initially, like, there used to be like a big jazz scene and they would get really shamed for doing this because they were like, we want the jazz. And now they're just like,
everyone wants Mercy Beat.
Everyone wants Mercy Beats. Also in Germany, they do crazy stuff. Like John Lennon used to regularly call the audience Nazis and do the Hitler salute, and they didn't speak any English, so they would just kind of cheer. And then also the reports are that, like, don't cheer for that. Well, they also like weren't speaking English, so you go up, you'd be like, you guys are all Nazis, huh? And they'd be like, woo! Like, they speak German, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, but the Nazi salute
It's crazy. No, it's not.
That transcends language.
I'm not defending John Lennon. I'm saying he did crazy stuff. Like, that's not even the beginning of it. People also said that he was moody, which shocking that John Lennon was moody.
That's really new news. I've never heard of that before.
No, it's nuts. So then they're back in Liverpool.
Was that in the book?
No, this was in a documentary I watched.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just like, it was so funny. He'd do Nazi salutes on stage in Germany. I was like, this is like less than 20 years after World War II ended.
This is like that Gary Oldman thing where like another famous actor got in trouble for saying anti-Semitic stuff, and he's like, who hasn't said that on set? And everyone's like, what?
Gary,
blowing
what?
up your spot for no reason.
Yeah, no, sir.
It's so funny what John did. You won't believe what John did. It was so funny. He called the audience Nazis and did a Nazi salute.
It's like, and who hasn't called the audience Nazis?
It's like, what?
So they're performing at the Cavern Club, and one night they meet Brian Epstein, who's a local music store owner. So he owns like a local record store. He's also a music columnist, and he becomes their manager. And he's a big player in the Beatles. He's everywhere. Like if you read a Beatles thing, you're reading about Brian Epstein in one way or another. So he works to get the band released from their contract in Hamburg. And then he gets them a recording session. Then in April 1962, Sutcliffe has died suddenly from brain hemorrhage.
That's Stuart, guys, in case you don't remember his last name.
Stuart Sutcliffe, sorry. The band then travels to London to try and get a recording contract. They go around to all these different people. No one really wants to sign them. They famously auditioned for Decca Records on New Year's Day when they were super hungover. And Decca Records says, guitar groups are on their way out, Mr. Epstein. And they all admit
and they
that
were
this
correct.
Audition was not very good. And then 3 months later, Brian Epstein goes back to EMI.
If you know you have not to be that person.
Yeah.
But you know you have a big audition in the morning.
Why would you get hungover? Why would you get hungover?
It's literally one New Year's. It's literally one and versus the rest. And obviously it worked out for them fine.
But also, where's Decca Records? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so 3 months later, Brian Epstein goes back to EMI because he heard that this guy George Martin is back in town. He was on vacation when he went left.
George R.R. Martin.
George R.R. Martin.
He's taking a break from writing the damn books.
Damn, and of course he is. He went back in time to freaking work with the Beatles.
Avoid writing the books.
So this guy is the owner of EMI's Parlophone label.
Okay.
So 3 months later, Brian Epstein goes back to EMI because he hears that this guy George Martin is back. George Martin runs Parlophone Records as part of EMI. And he goes back and then he gets a deal with them for the Beatles to record.
Hell yeah.
So they have their first recording session with George Martin. It takes place on the 6th of June in 1962 at EMI's Abbey Road Studios. Martin immediately complains about Pete Best's drumming ability and suggests a session drummer in his place. So
that's really funny.
George Martin signs them and he insists he's basically get rid of Pete Best. And there's a lot of different reasons why people think that Pete Best got kicked out of the Beatles. Mm-hmm. So they had problems with his mother. So Mona Best, owner of the Casbah Club, would always be calling Brian Epstein being like, what are you doing today to help my son's band? What are you doing
That's
today?
insane.
Which is nuts. And then they also just didn't vibe. The lifestyles are very different. Pete Best was really kind of chill and quiet, whereas the other guys were all pranksters and stuff like that.
Ugh. Okay, I'd get so kicked out of the Beatles.
Exactly.
If anybody was interested, Paul McCartney had nothing to say about Brat. I was very disappointed. Somebody figure out what Paul McCartney thinks about Brat.
Oh my God. I feel okay, guys, we need to ask Paul McCartney what he thinks about Brat and also see if he wants on the podcast.
And John Green.
Paul McCartney and John Green on the podcast.
John Green.
We need to start sending some of these emails.
I know. We just have to.
John Green.
I know. I think that's true.
I'm manifesting it.
I think we could. 2025. Is that the next year
John
that's
Green.
happening? Yes.
Yes, hope so. No, John Green's getting on in the fall. John Green's getting on in the fall.
That's manifestation.
So, where were we? Pete Best gets kicked out of the Beatles.
Yeah, there's reasons as to why.
Yeah, so it's kind of contested. So, his mother was always calling Brian Epstein being like, what are you doing for my son kind of thing.
And he's not a prankster.
He's not a prankster. He's not hanging out. He also just kind of it's kind of what I can gather is that it just wasn't really a match. It just wasn't working. It wasn't really the vibe. And also the label was just not into him, which I think is huge. Unfortunately, you can ride for your friends for as long as you want, but as soon as the powers that be are you guys can all get your dreams to come true if you just kind of get this person who
sucks,
already
but it's
doesn't
true.
really seem like they want to be here out.
Whose mom is annoying.
I
also remember this, and this could be wrong because again, like memories are weird. It was Paul McCartney on Howard Stern talking about it because they were talking about how Paul loves Ringo, right? Like Paul loves Ringo and how Ringo doesn't sign anything. And he's like, he's always like that or whatever. And they were talking about like how Ringo came to be in the band. And his story is, and again, he's like a 70-year-old man?
Yeah.
80-year-old man? He's old. So his memories might be wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But of being like they were playing a show and Pete didn't show up.
Yeah.
And Ringo showed up and they're like, oh, well, why don't you play with us? And then they were all like, oh, wait, like this feels so different when it's like a really good drummer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that Pete Best was necessarily like horrible at drums or anything, but I think that's very much what it is. I think that like at the end of the day, like Pete Best's heart wasn't in it. Like he couldn't really party the way that the rest of them were partying. He was kind of just like a little bit more in his own world. And
that's fine if you're a drummer or you're somebody who's like writing the songs, because you see that difference in bands a little bit later on, being like, we were all fucking crazy, but then he would go back to the hotel room and just write the album or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
it's Gerard Way writing the Black Parade while on Warped Tour.
Brian Wilson was not a vibe.
No,
he was not but if you're not bringing anything creatively, and you got to at least be fun.
Yes.
And you don't have to be fun if you're bringing something creatively.
But if you're not doing either, then like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
No, this is the thing. So there's a march to bring back Pete Best. People are quite upset, but then they get over it. And they replace him with Ringo Starr.
March. We can't blow past that.
This is the thing. Ringo Starr has just kind of like, he's filled in the past. He matches the vibe better. And then they get a contract to record with EMI Parlophone.
Right. And that's obviously Richard Starkey, guys. Remember Richard Starkey from before?
Okay, here we go. August 1962. Enter Richard Starkey. Woo! And if you haven't guessed by now, his stage name is Ringo Starr. Peace and love, baby. Peace and love. So during their third recording session with George Martin at EMI, the Beatles recorded Let Me Do, Please Please Be, P.S. I Love You with Starr on the drums. But George Martin was dissatisfied and he got a session drummer to take Ringo's place in the song.
God, this guy hates drum.
And put Ringo on the tambourine.
That's humiliating.
Oh my God.
Humiliating.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It's rough. And then Let Me Do was released and it peaked at number 17 on the record retailer chart. And then George Martin suggested that Please Please Me should have a faster tempo, and the recording took place in November. And then George Martin said after they recorded Please Please Me, he was just like, you just made your first number one hit.
Whoa. That would be crazy to hear.
Yeah.
If I did anything and afterwards somebody was like, well, hey, this is going to number one.
This is going to number one. I'd be like, number one of what?
What do you mean? The improv charts?
The improv charts?
The self-tape charts?
Meeting's so dumb. So in 1963, the band decided that all four members should contribute vocals to their albums, incling Ringo Starr, who could not sing.
I think we all sing. I mean, I think we all sing.
And then Lennon and McCartney established a songwriting partnership. It meant that Harrison's opportunity as lead vocalists were pretty limited because McCartney and Lennon were obviously writing songs for them to sing. And
I'm sure that won't come in later. I think George loves being in the Beatles and he won't leave.
I think
there won't be footage of him actively skipping to sign the contract where he leaves the Beatles. I don't think that's going to exist.
I think he's going to love it
because that feels really normal.
So, okay. And then George Martin from EMI, he says to them, he looks at the Beatles and he says,
I have a great idea for a book series.
There are dragons, there are White Walkers, there's a wall.
A game, there's a throne.
There's a throne and they're playing games around it.
Yes, of knives.
Games. And then Paul goes, oh, hey George, what if you think about making those swords instead?
No, what?
What?
Why would you say that to me?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
What were you going to say?
Oh, yes. So George Martin, he looks at the Beatles and he said, you guys need to pull it together. You need to stop smoking. You need to stop swearing. You need to put on some suits and you got to pull it together.
The suits are iconic.
And this is where we leave you this episode. It's been a long run. This is just the beginning.
There's so much more for the Beatles to discover.
So much more.
They all lived such long, beautiful lives.
And happy lives. Also, by the way, John was also with his girlfriend, Cynthia Powell, at this time, who he eventually married and was beating the shit out of her. So just so you know, it did start. It's already happened. Forgot to mention it. But, we're tacking it on to the end of the episode. Don't worry if you were worried that John Lennon wasn't a wife beater yet. Wrong.
He was. He was
a girlfriend beater. And there's a excerpt in this book I'm reading where Cynthia was like, my aunt saw him hitting me and just went, that's a bad guy to be with, but I just thought he was great. Insane. Anyway, so that's part 1.
We'll come back to you later.
But let's do, you ready to do some tragedy? Let's make this tragedy about us. Okay, out of the two of us, who's Paul and who's John?
Okay, great question.
And then next week will be which Beatle are you? So it's not the same question.
Okay, this is a great question.
Who's Paul, who's John?
Well, I want to hear your take first because I do feel like you have an understanding of their personalities right now. Because I have some theories right now, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay, here's the thing. I think if it were which Beatle were you, I'm more of a John, but I think between the two of us, I'm Paul, you're a John.
Okay, what's the thought process there?
I think that like personality wise, and I also feel like
I think that's true.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a vibe. I feel like
because I get the vibe of somebody who beats the shit out of their wives and girlfriends.
You give the vibe of
No, I actually think that's right because I do think in terms of creative, there's a bit of I think that you kind of give John creatively.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of amazing scenes in Get Back where Paul is so. Well, actually, that's me. The John in me is showing up late. But there's so many things of like Paul just like being like, okay, I'm really working trying to do this, and there's like an effortlessness to John that I think you also possess of like,
oh, thank you,
he can just do it.
Yes,
where it's like Paul's been there rehearsing for hours before rehearsal, or fighting with George or whatever. So I think that in that aspect you give John, but I do agree personality wise you're giving Paul. So yeah, I think it's like,
and I think in our dynamic specifically,
I think that's true. Yeah, I think that's true. I think like talking about the like sadness or whatever, like he's just like immediately moodier and fucking weird, you know? And Paul's having a good time.
But also just kind of like leader. Like I feel like you know yourself more than I do.
That's interesting.
I think you're very much like, you're always very certain in your decisions, whereas I feel like oftentimes I'm like, this would be the best to do, even if I'm not like, it's not really the decision I want to make.
Yeah. Yes. It'll be interesting to talk about because I have some other arguments for out of all the Beatles next week.
Okay.
Because I do think there's so many stories, and obviously it's what his demise was, of John Lennon like talking to fans, and like there was like a crazy Vietnam War vet, so sad, but like who showed up to like when the Beatles were recording, and he was like, "Oh, I'll just go out and talk to him." Yeah, and like that would literally never be me.
Yeah.
Whereas Ringo is like, "Get the fuck off my property! I don't want to talk to you."
No, this is why I feel like it's a different question.
It's a completely different question.
I agree. Which in our creative partnership, who's John? Who's
and
Paul?
I would have Reese come and be like, we gotta have Reese kind of scream into the mic. Let Reese make sounds on the album.
Reese is doing amazing things with noise music right now.
I think we need to incorporate it.
Anyway, this is turning into a long app.
I know, but you know what? We got to feed you the context. This is what always happens. We need the context.
You need the context.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context
of everything that came before you.
Yes. So that's what this episode is.
Yeah. And this was like a lot of like, I think it just makes it easier to understand what is happening.
And also people love to put shit on to do chores. You know what I mean?
And
like, you know what? Long episode, you fold your laundry, you know.
And if you are currently folding laundry right now, I see you and I know who you are.
You're valid.
Yeah. If your name is Jessica and you're folding laundry right now,
call out.
I know who you are. And don't even pretend like that's not you, Jessica.
And she's in your closet.
And I know who you are. But yeah, as always, thank you for tuning in. We're so excited for the Beatles.
The Beatles.
If you have any suggestions of a prop we should wear, because we couldn't figure out a prop.
We couldn't figure that out. Like, I think honestly,
without like wearing an outfit, you know?
Here's what my thought process is. So as we go through each episode, we should try and do eras
of the Beatles.
We should try and wear a suit.
Okay.
I don't know what would be in the middle. Maybe those like little ponchos. It's a lot of prop work.
There's stuff.
And then we should do like the 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could try and do like a Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah. I was thinking Sgt. Pepper.
Little John Lennon glasses or something.
Just easy to put together a Sgt. Pepper. Yeah, you know, we should get John Lennon glasses. That's what we should do.
If we do John Lennon glasses and then dress in all white, we're basically like John and Yoko.
Perfect. Okay. Who's John? Who's Yoko?
That's the real fucking question.
That's crazy. Well, anyway, thank you for tuning in. Yeah. As always, you can check out the Patreon for other things that are going on.
Bonus content.
And
early episodes.
And frankly, we love you so much. We love you. We love you. We want to give you a little kiss.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
What were you going to say?
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.
Sonar.